Okay, so you will notice on 9.4 that we're still going to be graphing, but now we're going to graph points and then put them together to make shapes. You will be needing a ruler or a straight edge to connect points. So you can quietly get that out of your binder, and we are going to get these connected. Okay, we're going to start out and we're going to graph F and G and H and then connect them. And when we connect them, it's going to make a triangle. So let's graph F. We're going to go over 2, up 5, and label it F. Then for G, over 4, up 1, and label it G. And then for H, I'm going to stay on my x-axis and then move down to -2 and call it H. Now on my smartboard, I'm not able to put a ruler down because it confuses it. So I have to freehand it, and you can tell it's not going to look very straight. Yours are going to look razor sharp with your straight edge. So you do yours now with your straight edge, and I'm going to do the very best I can, wishing that I could have a straight edge like you. And just keep in mind, if you do not use a straight edge and you freehand it, I will make you redo it. When you connect these points, they have to have a straight edge or a ruler.
What if I do it so good you don't know?
Okay, let's fill in this information. We are going to move for F. We moved 2 units to the right. And we moved 5 units up. For G, we moved 4 units to the right, and we moved 1 unit up. For H, we didn't move any units left or right, but we did move 2 units down. And notice when you drew your lines, you connected 3 points, which made a triangle.
I got a square.
Okay, for this rectangle, it's a rectangle, so I know I'm going to have 4 points. They're going to be A, B, C, and D. So I'm simply going to graph them. For A, it's going to be -1 and 4.5. When I do 4.5, I'm going to go halfway between 4 and 5, and that's where I'll locate my point. Okay, so I'm going to go -1 and then go up to 4 and move halfway between 4 and 5 and make my point right on the line. And I'm going to call that A. Then for B, I'm going to go -1 up 2 and label it B. For C, they want me to go over 5 up 2 and label it C. And for D, I'm going to go over 5 up to 4, and then halfway between 4 and 5 is 4.5, and I label it D. Now I'm going to use my straight edge and connect A to B, B to C, C to D, D to A to form a rectangle. Make sure you are using a straight edge, otherwise it's crooked like mine just looked. I hate that. It's deformed. But when you get done, you should have a nice, straight, razor-sharp rectangle.
Razor sharp.
Okay, remember when we do perimeter, we're adding and we're going around the outside of the figure. So now they're going to give me a figure, and I have to figure out the measurements, or how many units there are, and then I'm going to add them up to find the perimeter. Okay? So first of all, I'm going to find the width of the rectangle. So I'm going to count from, what is this, -1 to 3. So I'm going to go right from -1 to 3 to find out how many units that is. And when I go from -1 to 0, that's 1 unit. And then over to 3 is 3 more. So 1 plus 3 is 4 units. So that's a 4, that's a 4. And the width of the rectangle is 4 units. Okay, then I'm going to find the length of the rectangle. I'm going to count up from 2, which is here at the bottom, up to 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to count up from -2 all the way up to 4. And remember, when I go from -2 to 0, that's 2. And then from 0 to 4 is 4. I add those together, and that is 4 plus 2 is 6 units.
Wow.
Okay? Now I have discovered that I have a 6 here and a 6 here. Now when I want to find the perimeter, I'm going to go around the outside adding all those up. So I can go 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 6. But the more sophisticated way to do it is to go, well, I have 2 6s, so 2 times 6. And I have 2 4s, so 2 times 4. And then use order of operations. So 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. Bring down my plus sign. 12 plus 8 is 20. The perimeter of the rectangle is 20 units. And it's not squared because this is not area. Remember that. It's just units. Okay, we're going to find the perimeter of each of these rectangles. So the first thing we're going to do is find the length and the width. Okay? So I'm going to start at -1 and go over to 3. How many units is that?
4.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I label this one 4 and this one 4. And then I'm going to go from 0 to 5. So that is how many units? 5. And that's a 5 and that's a 5. So using my formula, I see I have 2 5s. So 2 times 5 plus I have 2 4s, 2 times 4. And then I'm going to finish out my math using order of operations. And down below here, doesn't it say something perimeter? So down here it should say 18 units.
Do we need to square it? No.
We're not squaring why? Who can tell me why we don't have square units?
Area.
It is not area. Thank you. All right, let's go to this next one. It is not any more difficult, but because it is halfway in, sometimes it throws people off. Okay? So let's start going up. Am I counting by ones when I go from 0 to 1? Yes, I'm counting by ones. So each one of these boxes, I'm still going 1. So I'm going to go from -1 to 4. So -1 to 4 is 5. That's 5 units. And here I'm going to go from +2 to -3.5. So this is 2 plus 3 and a, I can't do a little half. So what does that equal? 5.5. So 5.5. And now I'm ready to do my perimeter. I have 2 5s, so 2 times 5 plus 2 times 5.5. Do your math and then come back and check.
I got 21.
Okay, so you should have brought this down. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 5.5 is 11. Brought down your plus sign, and that equaled 21. My label down here, 21 units. Okay. Okay. Candace's house is at the corner of 3rd Avenue and 7th Avenue, or 7th Street. She walks from her house west to -2nd Avenue, then south to 4th Street, then east to 3rd Avenue, and then back home. How far did she walk? We're going to plot the points and draw the rectangle. So we already know that when we get done, we will have formed a rectangle from her steps. Okay? So we're going to start at the very beginning. Her house is at the corner of 3rd Avenue and 7th Street. What coordinates do those sound like?
Positive. Sound like units. 3 7.
3 7. So let's go across 3, up 7. What do you notice as you graph that point?
It's like right in the middle.
It's right in the middle. Why is it right in the middle? What are they counting by?
2s.
They're counting by 2s. So halfway between 2 and 4 is 3. Halfway between 6 and 8 is 7. That's how I ended up in the middle of my box. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so that was Candace's house. She walks from her house west to -2nd Avenue. So west is towards your left, and I'm going to go to -2. So I'm going to go straight across to
West is
negative
that
2.
way.
On my coordinate plane, west is this way. Okay? All right, then I'm going to go south to 4th Street. So I'm going to go down to the 4th Street, straight down.
But that's not fair.
Then east to 3rd Avenue. On my coordinate plane, east will be to the right. And I'm going to go to 3rd Avenue. Okay, so now I have 4 points. They already said I'm going to draw a rectangle, so I'm going to connect all of those points with a straight edge or a ruler to form a rectangle. Okay, so the next part says the distance east to west is blank blocks. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky and we have to use our brain power. Is remember, each one of these I'm counting by 2. Okay? So I can't count them as a 1 because they are counting them as a 2. Okay? So I'm saying, well, I was at negative 2, right? I went from negative 2 over to positive 3. How many blocks is that? Well, from negative 2 to 0 is 2, and then 3 more is 5 blocks. So this is 5 blocks. And then when I went from 4 to 7, how many blocks was that? That was 3 blocks. Okay? So the distance east to west is, what did we say, 5 blocks? I forgot to write that down. And then the distance north to south, so north to south is 3 blocks. So now I'm going to take that information, and I know I have 2 5s, so 2 times 5. And I have 2 3s, 2 times 3. Now I'm going to use my order of operations to solve it. And Candace walked 16 blocks. Okay, I want you to do your check it out. You're going to be following the same pattern. Remember to be careful if they count each square as a 2. If they're counting by 2s, that's going to switch up your numbers. So just be mindful of that. Okay, we are going to graph this triangle, and that's all they want us to do is graph it. So we're going to graph it, and then make sure and connect the points with a straight line using a ruler or straight edge. So I'm going to go negative 6, and then 3. And label it L. Then I'm going to go across to 7 and up to 3 and label that one M. And then for N, I go across to 7, which is halfway between 6 and 8, and then down to negative 5, which is halfway between 4 and 6, and that will be N. And then, of course, you're going to have a much easier time because you have a straight edge. You're going to connect those to make a triangle. Oh, I've got to redo that. That looks horrible. Okay, so I have negative 6 and 3. Okay, so now you have a triangle. Okay? Now I'm going to go on to number 2. Notice they want me to find the perimeter. So I have to figure out how much each side is and then use my formula to solve it. Okay, notice when I am counting, this is 0 and this is 2. So what does that tell me about each one of those boxes? They're counting by 2s. So they went from negative 4 to 9. So negative 4 and then negative 4 to 0 is 4 units, plus 9 more units equals, 9 plus 4 is 13. So this is 13 across. Okay? Then they go from negative 7 to, we'll say this is 2, positive 5. So from negative 7 up to 0 is how many? 7. And then from 0 to 5 is 5 more. I'm out of fingers. What's 7 plus 5?